Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the customer experience version today, where I'm with two others, a total of 15 women who are having the amazing think tank, Easy Think Tank, next week. So we're here to kind of give you a little bit about it. My sound is bad. Let me try to, I hear a bit of an echo. Let me try to lower my mic volume a little bit and see if that's better. Okay, cool. Sorry about that, everyone. So, today we are going to be, like I said, it's to talk about what's going on our Easy Think Tank next week, to give you some insights, meet some of the other experts. We have a total of 15 subject matter experts to bring you information, really dealing with all of the very important, relevant issues right now with starting your workforce again back in your office, hybrid models. How do you handle remote? How do you handle employee engagement? What kind of activities and events are you doing to keep your people engaged? What is the environment that you're dealing with, and how to really re-enter and take your business forward in a growth mindset of what we're now have transitioned to, because we can't deny that this past year with the pandemic has forever changed how businesses will run their business and how they interact with their people. So I'm happy to have Victoria Peterson and Nikki Evans join me today. Thank y'all for being here.
Hello.
Hi.
Ladies, I just want to kind of start a little bit and let y'all speak up a little bit about what you're contributing, what your thoughts are, and then we'll just have a conversation around it to give everyone a little taste of what to expect next week. Victoria, why don't you introduce yourself?
Sure. Hello, I'm Victoria Peterson, and I am the CEO of E3 Planning. And CEO, I'm the Chief Engagement Orchestrator. I help business leaders create environments that engage and where they have a message that needs to connect with their audience. So that means an audience of internal staff, their external clients, and high-level C-suite executives.
Awesome. So we'll dive in a little more about what that exactly looks like so people can understand and figure out what they're going to learn from you and what questions that they might have based on that. Nikki, welcome.
Hey, I'm Nikki Evans. I'm a technology leader turned coach, and I work with smart technical teams and equip them to address costly misunderstandings. And so I think both technical, like IT type teams, but also teams like finance teams that have a special language, or accounting teams, or teams that are again a little bit more technical in nature, to really communicate better with the rest of their partners in the business organization. And with the summit, I'm really thinking about how much we've all had to change and how much change we're continuing to have to do. Mm-hmm. And how people respond to that kind of change, and whether we need to accelerate change or adapt something that's already working, or maybe anchor on some things that aren't changing because people are a little burnt on change, frankly. And so trying to figure out how to do clear messaging around what is changing, what's not changing, and why.
That is so important. You touched on some very key things, and I think change has been kind of that's been the one stable, ironically, right? The irony is that the change and forever changing and not having stability has been our one stable thing throughout all this time. Mm-hmm. Is wondering what's next. But I think now we're on the road to seeing that light at the end of the tunnel. Now, depending upon where you live, of course, across the world, even as well as across the United States, every state is different. Every situation is different in terms of how they're opening. But I think the one key message that I heard that I want to talk a little bit more about, and I think both of you ladies really incorporate this into your work, and I know I certainly do in mine as an employee EX to CX expert, employee experience to customer experience, is communication. Communication. It is crucial no matter what you're doing. I think that's been a big problem, that in this time period, people feel so disconnected. Employees feel like they don't really know what's going on with their leadership and their management, and they haven't been communicated with properly or not consistently. And maybe it's been something they've gotten put out there, but it hasn't been real transparent, so they don't really understand what it is that's going on. So can y'all talk a little bit to that as well about communication and why that one is so crucial?
From my perspective, a lot of what's been going on in the communication face to face, what we usually got through meetings or events, an all hands briefing, a leadership retreat, those types of communications all went quickly to virtual.
Mm-hmm.
But when they transitioned, we all didn't have a plan. We just went, hey, here's a platform. This is what works, a Zoom, Microsoft Teams, whatever we could get going. Now that we've been through a year of this, we have learned that it actually has really great benefits. Remote teams, everybody feels like they're in the same position now because everybody's remote, everybody's dialing in. So I think that's a big benefit for communication. Mm-hmm. But by the same token, they've lost that in-person connection. And how do leaders now put in a thoughtful method of communication when their teams are still remote or going hybrid? There's going to be some back in the office, or when they're trying to reach external customers. Some of those events can take place, but some of them all still need to be virtual. I feel like right now is the key time to be putting that plan in place of how are they going to reach those folks in a better manner, not just haphazard, yay, just put everybody online, but really thoughtfully design some communication strategies that will excite those folks' emotions like they would if everybody was in person. How can they really make some big mental impact that's positive, that gets people sharing, that makes people feel connected again? And there are so many great ways to do that, but it takes the planning right now. And it goes beyond what we've done this past year to a greater extent, and really requires some commitment and push and emphasis to get that real benefit out of our communications and out of that meeting.
Yeah. So I want to, again, a key word that just really resonated when I heard you say it is to make that emotional connection. Mm-hmm. And I think that is so much at the crux of creating those relationships that we want, that will ultimately bring our businesses back strong and will be that lifetime value component. And we don't, it's statistically proven, if we don't make that human emotional connection with our people, and I say our people, I mean internally and externally. So internally is your customers, your staff, your employees and your staff, and externally are your end customers, then you are never going to have people committed to your brand. And that emotional connection is so, so important. I just want to mention, I want to highlight here, Madeline Schwartz was on for a quick moment and shared with us. She is another one of the 15 Easy team members. And she said, clear messaging is so important, navigating change. And I think that's key. And I think really talking about now as we are changing, but that word change, I think, Nikki, you said that people are just tired of change. And I so agree. And actually, when I work with my clients, I've been careful to not use the word change because people are just exhausted. They're like, no, not another change. Like, please don't, I don't want to hear it. I can't handle it anymore. And I see it as a shift. And I think that any positive growth, whether it's any kind of relationship, a business, organization, or otherwise, those shifts are important for us to continue to grow. We would otherwise be in status quo and in stagnation. And so I try to look at what's been happening around us. And my approach is that, as terrible as it is, it has also been quite positive, and so much growth that's happened and is happening, and innovation out of all this. And so I look at it as just a shift. right? It's a natural shift in evolution in a way of our businesses. If we can approach it that way and really look at it from the positive side and grab the positive things and run with what's working, instead of just saying, oh my God, another change, I'm exhausted. So what do you have to say, Nikki?
Yeah, I think some of us are wired for that newness and the change and the excitement. And so you've got some people that are going to be super excited about new ideas and new things. And then you've got some people that are really stressed out by changing for the sake of changing. And I think, to your point, it's shifts. And so if you can help your folks that love to see new things shift into and lean into some of those newer things that you're trying to do, and if you can help your folks that don't love that as much kind of see where things aren't changing as much and what the small shift is to get them, moving and excited about what you're doing. And I also think, one of the things that we talked about is communication is so important. And a lot of times as leaders, we forget that we've had more time to think about the change than the people that report to us, because we've been in a bunch of meetings talking about what the new plan is going to look like and what the new thing is going to do. And so we're done processing the change by the time we say it one time to our teams. But our teams are just hearing it for the first time, and they haven't had 5 meetings about it, and they haven't been thinking about it for 3 and 4 weeks. So I do think it's something that we have to remember, to Victoria's point about engaging with stories and engaging with our teams, to explain the change more than one time, explain what the shift is, explain it again. You as a leader should feel like you have over communicated that change, and then you're probably just about to the point where people will start to understand what it is that you want them to do. And I think that that's part of the problem that we've seen, is that we think if we get everybody on a Zoom meeting and say it once, then everybody's got it.
Mm-hmm.
That's not how it works. So you have to figure out different ways to communicate with people, different communication styles, different ways of telling the story, different ways of getting people on board. And you have to, as a leader, really pay attention to who understands it. Those people that are excited about it are going to run with it faster. Those people that aren't as excited about it maybe need to hear a little bit more, maybe need more instructions around your change, maybe need more details around what you're trying to do. And so, to Victoria's point, what's your strategy for hitting all of those people? And do you have a plan that's actually going to communicate enough times in enough different ways so that whatever the shift is that you're trying to get people to make is easy for them to make, because they fully understand what it is that you're asking them to do? We've gotten really comfortable, I think, with kind of one and done communications, thinking we can send an email or we can have one Zoom meeting, and then we wonder why our change initiative didn't work.
Yeah, I think it's going to require so much more of our leadership now to add an extra component of this EI, the emotional intelligence piece, really looking at your people as people first. And how is it that they need to take in information? Do they need that extra time as more of an introvert? Or, like you said, some people are going to be fine with the change and others are going to really struggle. So you've got to really understand who your people are and be able to not just say, well, I've sent you the email or I've given you the directive, now go and do it. Maybe that's what you did before. Not to say that was right either. I think that wasn't. But I think this time has highlighted the importance of recognizing that we are all different. We all process differently, different speeds, different methods. And it's going to be up to the leadership to really recognize that. I'm recently certified as a type coach. And it's so fascinating to me because it's all about that. It's learning who you are and how you communicate and how you receive information and how you're energized. But at the same time, when others in your organization take this verifier, you can compare and say, well, this is how I am. But, oh, now I realize they're not like that at all. Like, I expected them to take in the information how, to me, it was very obvious, but for them, they need to do it this way. So now as a leader, I need to stop and reconsider, what other method of communication do I need to reach that person? And thank you, Nikki. How many times? Like, it has to be where you just think it's ad nauseum, but it's probably just at that point that they're really understanding. And it's not even just understanding it cognitively. It's really being able to absorb it so that they live into it. So it becomes a part of what they do as a part of the team, on a daily basis. So
and I think the next big challenge too is going to be with hybrid teams, it's easy when you're sitting with people to have those communications or have them in the hallway or see somebody and remember, oh, I need to explain this to you again. Leaders are going to have to be really, really paying attention to those folks that are still remote on their team, where you've got some in person and some remote. That's an extra layer of challenge on all of this, of making sure that you're connecting with everybody. Everybody feels like they're in the loop. You're not favoring one group over the other because they happen to be, more immediately top of mind.
Mm-hmm. I think that's one thing that has come out of this again is the recognition of those different learning styles and that you were mentioning. But I think when we were all in person, we naturally assume, or a lot gets communicated that we don't have to think about. When we're in a room with somebody, those different learning styles and that different manner of absorbing information that's different for each person, being in person sort of covers that. It covers a lot of those different. And when you're then transitioned to just being on video, you realize now we see how much has been lost of, hey, you know what, we're only communicating in one style. It's very we get a little bit of video, we get a little bit of auditory, but there's no tactile, there's no big emotional draw. So for a lot of learners, they've lost out on a lot this past year. And Nikki, to your point, when we go hybrid, then there's a group that's going to be getting that full 360 experience, and there's a group that's still going to be the two-dimensional on screen. And being very thoughtful about how we try to integrate those, and really in that communication, learning how to reach out and do. I think this is a time to do so much better with just our everyday communication and really put in some systems that raise the level for everybody.
Yeah, systems I think is key. And this is an opportunity to really rethink your business, rethink your previous protocols. And because they can't be the same, let's face it, no one can go back to say, okay, now everyone's coming back, or we're coming back in part. And let's just go back to the systems we had before. Those old systems are no longer relevant.
Mm-hmm.
Partially they are, but so I think it's really important to have a fresh strategy, to have a fresh plan, to revisit every touch point along both the employee journey and the customer journey. Internally, how are things working so that you're taking care of all of the needs of your people, so that ultimately they're going to feel secure and safe. And this is something that we've been missing for a long time, any sort of security and safety. Everyone's lived in fear for so long and separated. And, this whole idea of bringing people back. So we, as a group, had a clubhouse room the other day talking about this and our upcoming think tank. And one of the women there, she's in property management and commercial and residential. And she was saying that they were going to start with a hybrid model, and that was about 50-50 of people who wanted to return and those who wanted to stay hybrid. And she was asking about onboarding and training. And my suggestion is touching on what you're saying in terms of how people learn, is that when you're only doing it on a virtual method, you're missing out on all those people who don't take in information as well that way. And, I suggested kind of a hybrid onboarding model, that people do come in for at least the first week, maybe a couple weeks. And again, I would never tell you broadly any sort of times or details. That would be negligent of me. It would depend upon your business, right? I have to know what's going on in your business and your size and all of that. But at least, a week or two in her case, and do that in person. That's because people are learning and they're picking up on details just by being in the environment and watching, seeing out of the peripheral vision of something else that's happening, partially hearing another conversation that's going on. They're picking up the culture and the values that's being laid down in the very beginning of what this company is about. And those are nuances and things that happen that you otherwise would not get if you were just solely in a virtual a model. So it's interesting to hear people's concerns, their challenges, and how to go about addressing them. And I do think that this hybrid model will last for a very long time for most businesses. Now, granted, there's certain industries like the restaurant industry, hospitality, clearly you have to be present for that. But you know, it's certainly a conversation that's everyone needs to have, which is why I invite everyone. I'm going to post after this is over. I will post. Actually, I'll see if I'm gonna. When y'all are talking next, I'm gonna type it up and we'll put it on screen here. But then also in the comments below in this thread for the replay, because most people do catch the replay, I will put the link. It's very easy. Very easy. Get it? Fun, easy think tank. So it's www.easythinktank.com. And so we're just really excited. There's going to be wonderful interviews with all of these 15 women. We will have a live day on the 20th. So the Monday, starting next Monday, the 17th, through Wednesday, the 19th, will be these interviews. And then on Thursday is a live interactive platform on AirMeet. It's a truly like a conference. We will have panels, we'll have networking, and we'll have Q&A and direct conversations. If you have something that resonated with you from one of the other speakers and that's really touching, it's hitting your problems right now, come and sit down and speak to that speaker at the table. Speak to that expert and let them know what's going on. And you can get some brainstorming and a quick kind of coaching call right then and there to get some ideas and then further understand whether they are the person that can help you in a deeper situation.
That's one thing that I love about this easy think tank idea. Each expert has brought a number of quick wins for those who listen to the session. Everybody will be left with a takeaway. There's no big sales pitch. We want to be of service, and we want people to leave right then with something that they can implement that's on their to-do list that day that is easy. And not only that, you get to meet all of these experts. I have learned so much from Jill and Nikki, listening to their perspectives. It's business folks who have been, I think our average is a little over 20 years in business. There is so much knowledge in this group, and everybody comes at it from just a different angle and a different experience. And that community is really what brings a lot of depth and an answer to almost every problem that I've heard. And so I think for those executives who are having challenges right now, there is just such a laundry list, and we're bringing a lot of value that people can take away really quickly and easily.
Yeah, and I just want to highlight that what you said about so many different perspectives. I mean, amongst us 15 women, we have all had multiple experiences across industries, across companies, and across states and countries. It's one of the things with my business. I have a very diverse background. I've had multiple seemingly unrelated careers, industries, but in fact, there is a common thread, and that is about your people, the employee and customer experience. But to magnify that and recognize that each 15 of us exponentially, this is what's happening. And so we're able to really cross-pollinate all these ideas and multiple experiences. There's bound to be someone, multiple people, if even one, that's going to resonate with you. And you will be able to pick up, like Victoria said, great, easy takeaways, quick ideas that you can implement right away. And get yourself thinking. Like, it'll just really jog. Hopefully, this is our goal, to jog your mindset and recognize that we're not in a rut. This is an opportunity, and there's so many ideas, and there's so many ways we can take this. And there's so many women here to offer really great advice and direction. And just we play off of one another so beautifully. And it's not just one person. When you get one of us, you get all of us. And so we're really this great team that brings so much to you, and no pitching. I love it. I just cannot stand going to these summits and these events and webinars that it's just the typical sales pitch. And you will not have an opportunity, even if you wanted to give us a credit card, there's no way for us to take any payments. So it is purely giving on our end. And we just really are looking forward to next week together and together with you. Yeah. Ladies, any other parting things? We're about 25 minutes in, but hopefully we will be able to continue to do some of these lives and just give people a little taste, and come with your questions, come with your positions, your challenges, what's working great. We want to hear not just the things that are not working, but what is working that we could share then with others. We're all about collaboration. As our motto is that we are a fiercely collaborative group, and we want to share that with everyone that joins us in collaboration, co-creation of some great solutions to help everyone in their work solutions as we go forward into what's next. Any parting words, ladies, we close out?
It's been a pleasure being here with you. I just can't wait till next week. Every day seems like it's changing, and I'm hearing new things, and so can't wait to share that with everybody next week.
Yeah. Again, it's going to be a really great panel, but I also think, as a leader, you often are a little stuck about where to start, and it's a lot of pressure to have all of the answers. And so none of us have all of the answers either, but we have a really strong network, so we can get you what you need. So if you're really kind of stuck with, I'm not even sure what the next thing needs to be, but I know that something needs to happen, I need to be doing something different as a leader, come and listen, because one or more of us will have an idea for you to spark something that you could do right now to make your week easier.
Absolutely. That's perfectly said. And again, see the link is there, the URL easythinktank.com. And thank you again for joining us. And we hope to see you there next week, starting Monday the 17th. Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye. Cheers.